Hey everyone, another week, and the week started off actually really early in the morning on Wednesday when Pastor and myself headed out to visit one of our missionaries and actually look at a plot of land that he and his family are planning to purchase and give part of it towards the mission and towards the work that goes on in this place. It took us about an hour and 20 minutes to get there and about an hour and 40 minutes to drive back, and it was just another one of these hot days, and my headache started to come on, and in fact when we got back I actually had to take the car, go drop it off to the dealership because they needed to do some more work on it, and then headed to the office, and we had a meeting with our team from the outreach church in Sonapur, and the entire team was there. So that was a great meeting, and we had a time to just talk things through and see what they do, assess what they're doing, and try and give them some pointers and guide them a bit, and just get a real feel for what their problems are, what their difficulties are, and just spend time talking with them. And we had a great lunch together, and in fact the meeting went on from I think 11 all the way till about 3 o'clock, and of course my headache didn't go down. I took quite a few Panadols, but it didn't seem to help. That evening we actually had a prayer meeting, and I still hadn't got the car back, so I walked from the office to Pastor's place, which isn't too far. But the car actually came in the evening while the prayer meeting was going on, just before we started prayer, and I actually went down to get the car, and it started raining. So that was quite an interesting thing, and it actually cooled down, and my headache I think only went when I got back home later and actually got into bed. And but it was a pretty long day. On Thursday I was actually in the office, and was there most of the day, and that evening actually Gavin and his fiance came over, so that was a good time. We had a great time, watching the cricket games together, and just spending some time talking. And we were actually supposed to head out sometime, so they were planning to leave the next week, but I wouldn't be able to leave and get a break with them because Pastor would be out of town, so it would be a bit tough. On Friday I was actually working from home, and that evening we actually decided to get the whole worship team together, so I was taking dinner from home, so my maid was cooking up a storm rather, and I decided to make dessert, and the dessert didn't come out as I had planned and expected it to come out. In fact, the custard kind of was really watery, but we had a great time, and we actually met up in Pastor's place, and because it was a convenient place for everyone to get to, and we watched the movie Blind Side, which is a really great movie, and I didn't know it was a true story until the end of the movie, but we had a really great time together. Saturday morning I was in the office. We didn't have worship practice because the songs we were doing on Sunday were all familiar ones, and the worship leader for that week said we could just practice before the service on Sunday, so that was great. I was in the office, and then we decided, I got a call from Pastor's wife saying that we need to go pick up Mother's Day gifts, so we headed out, managed to get some really nice gifts for our mothers at church, and then got back to the office, and then went to the school, set up, and then I came back to the office because that evening I was actually doing the Bible study at one of these outreach centers in Taliganj, and it was a really blessed time. In fact, it's just a single room, and I was standing outside the room and talking to the people and doing the little Bible study that we were doing on, and I actually used one of the CNC lessons on Kinanaya, and how God has blessed us with skills. And it's just amazing because one of the girls that was there actually was taking part in one of these, I think in Indian Idol or one of these shows. So she was actually in the auditions and stuff. So that was really great, and I know that definitely spoke to her. After that, I actually had to head back to Pastor's place for dinner, but I just got caught in traffic, and the taxi I took. He was just one of these guys who decided to take lane after lane after lane and just got stuck. But I got to Pastor's place and had dinner there, and had a really rushed dinner because the whole purpose was to go and pick up George Collins. I of course didn't drive. I actually sent the car back home earlier, but George Collins was actually going to be staying with me, and they were I think 3 of them were guests of Pastor, but he needed to be put up somewhere, so he was going to be staying the night at my place. In fact, he was going to stay the next night too at my place. But we had a great drive back home. Actually, Pastor dropped us back, and The next morning, we got up for church, and George and I had breakfast together, headed off to church, and we actually released our newsletter, the KCF Connect, and we also had a special prayer for mothers, and of course gave them their gifts. That evening in youth, we looked at an interesting topic on substance abuse, so that was really great, and just to get a feel from where the youth actually stand and the amount of awareness they have and what they know and what they think about it. So that was a really great time. In fact, after the youth left, Pastor, his wife, another guest, and of course George and the two other guys with him, we all went out for a nice dinner together and just spent some time talking and just looking and reflecting back on the day, and what they felt and what they thought. And in fact, on Monday morning, George left in the morning. He was actually going and checking out a few other works with Pastor and stuff, and of course I was home for a while, but I ended up going and doing some bank work, and of course picking up some new fish because most of my other fish died. And that afternoon I actually had a friend who was supposed to come over for lunch, but he canceled on lunch, but he came over later on in the day, and we just spent some time just talking and catching up on where he is work-wise and how he's been doing. And Tuesday I was actually in the office, and I spent the morning preparing for CNC, and we looked at the life of Laban, and that's Rebecca's brother. And we all know it was a great week. It was a busy week, but it was nice to have the newsletter put together and the newsletter out. And if you'd like a copy, do drop me an email, and I'm sure I could send one across to you. And I think we'll definitely be doing that every month, and it's basically to connect the church and prayer partners and people with the work that's going on here, and the way that God is using the church here to reach out to others. And we're a small church, and we'll have about 36 missionaries, so it's just great to see how God is at work, and how through strategic partnerships we're able to accomplish His will for us, and His will for mankind. And we just pray that God continues to use these people, because it's just amazing the way that they work. I know it would be tough for me to get out into the villages and do half the things they do, but God has called them, and God has given them such a passion to do what they do. And I pray that one day we would all be able to see His will and do our part in His story. And I pray you have a great week, and God bless.